Pavel Stuchlik is the breathwork guy. He is the founder of NOA AON. They are equipping professionals with ancient and modern tools to achieve harmony. Welcome, Pavel.
Thank you so much. Super happy to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your personal lives, more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Yes, well, that's an extended offloading part, but essentially, I'll tell you the pivotal moment that got me into this where I am. I've been an avid seeker of truth my whole life, and I didn't really fit into school systems. I didn't really fit into the societal norm, and I always kept on questioning more. This is not the answer. This is not the way we live, and it's not. There's so many other ways to life, and so with stepping outside of this box, it led me into a trip around the world and essentially committing myself that every 3 months I'm gonna do something out of my comfort zone. And it started with simple things as samurai camp in Japan. Then it led me into the Wim Hof, course and training, which was ended up being a year-long experience with the Iceman. I was 30 days with the psychics in Brazil, and it wasn't until I spent 10 days in darkness with no food in the middle of Thailand that my light bulb just switched on. And it was the biggest pivotal moment that led me into the work I do today. And I came in there as a busy entrepreneur, as somebody, that was living the American dream and had all of the things that people would checklist. But I was depressed and I was burned out and I didn't feel that this is it. And so basically, day 7 inside of this cave, I lost it. I start crying and purging and moved into this complete state of bliss. And for the first time in my life, I have touched myself for who I am, not for who I am not. And basically, that's the rise of NOA AON. That's when we created this brand, and I moved into retreats and workshops and everything we do today.
And hopefully you're going to help other people do that without having to go to Thailand and spend 10 days in a cave with no food.
That's exactly right. I, wanted to be that guinea pig, if we can say it this way, that wasn't afraid to, go into really sometimes excruciating experiences. And but then each experience taught me something, and each experience gave me set of tools. And basically, system reset is something that we teach. It's the system reset tools for us to basically put a button on our computer and hold it there for 2 seconds and reset our mind, body, emotional, and all of our health. So that way we can take charge of the journey through self-transformation, as I like to call it.
Who I am, not who I'm not. That's a pivotal thing.
That's right. We're taught, right, all throughout our life what we should be and where should we go, and parents and friends and everybody always has so much business in our own business. And I was like, who are you guys to dictate my life? And essentially, in that moment, I actually created this thing called the process of unhooking, which I basically unhooked myself from everybody's thoughts and everybody's ideas, everybody's, agendas. And what I was able to hear is my own agenda, like why I actually came here. And it wasn't to make more money. It wasn't to um, continue living, selfish lifestyle. It was to bring this to the world, to the people, and become selfless, living in service.
It's all really, really powerful. I think, who are you to dictate my life? Other people, parents, friends, people who love me, but more smothering and crushing and preventing than really love at that sometimes, most times, probably.
Yeah, and it's like it's nothing wrong with it, right? Like it's a beautiful to have an outside look. But what is wrong with is when we're constantly every minute of our day, in that. And I actually, what I've learned through this, I practice this process of unhooking in like segments. So once a day, the first hour of my day, I spend just with myself. I do my morning ritual. I do some breath work, meditation, intention setting. Visualize the day in front of me. And then I really ask myself, like, what am I going to live for me today? Then once a week, I take full day off from everything. So digital detox, physical detox. I unhook from families, friends, and I spend a big portion of just with myself. And once a month, it's 3 to 4 days because it's like a cycle that I've learned that we always need a little bit longer because just one day for extended period of time per week is not enough. And then once a year, I spend 10 to 15 days completely off as well, which unfortunately in America, it's not really a norm to block off, time off. But in those times is when I realign, I re-inspire my passion. What's my purpose and what's the legacy I want to leave behind? And so I see them as alignment drops that allow me to hear and feel and what am I actually going to do?
I think that everybody who's listening can identify with that, with the experience of maybe you're on vacation. I know for me, when I'm staring at the ocean, it sort of has that calming effect of just zoning out and disconnecting from anything. And then you get home and you do feel like, oh, wow, I didn't feel like I could get away or I knew I needed to, but I just feel so much better now that I did. So what is, you talked about unhooking for us busy Americans who are constantly driving and not taking any time off. How do we enter this work?
Yeah, so I've actually created a very simple 4 steps to the journey to self-transformation. And what it's based upon is when I went into the cave, I used to be a victim of situations and blaming others and, living from this place of what is happening to me. And so when I went into the cave, I was able to see things that I didn't before. And essentially, what happened to me is I treat now every situation and every life opportunity as a way to re-see things from what it was before. And I used to learn through the gutter. I thought that if it doesn't hurt, that if it's not hard, it's not good enough. And, it led me into burnout and not being happy. And so now I learn through balance and love and joy. And it's this, like, why did I not start this way? Well, what happened was I had to first look at all the different things. And so I've got this very simple 4 step process that can help you look into any of those areas in your life that are important. It all starts with wake up. It's the first phase of awakening what is not working. I like to apply this on my mind. What is my mental state? My body? What's my physical state? My emotions? What is it that I'm feeling? And also my spiritual connection with the divine, with my meditation, with my practice. Then I also like to look at my relationships and the environment that I'm living in, because all of that, surrounding us, whatever it's air, water, food sources, pain, that all has an effect on us. Now, in each of this area, I essentially first had to do like a hard self-assessment, waking up. Why am I keep on thinking I'm not worthy of? Why is my energy level so low? Why can't I sleep at night? So it was like a hard, let's wake up. When I had this data, I cleaned up, which is the second phase. I had to let go of the old, let go of the non-serving, toxic mind. I call the mind the software, body's the hardware. And just like when we have a computer, we can download new software, new apps as we wish, but we got to be connected to the internet. Now, in the work that I do, we got to be connected to the internet so we can hear those non-serving thoughts and delete them. Just like when we hold the app, we exit out of the app. The same thing is with our mental patterns, with our emotional patterns, with our, physical patterns. If we're constantly tired, there is a reason. So wake up, clean up, and then power up. The third phase is power up. This is when you supplement new vitamins and minerals if you need to. This is when you bring new relationships in. This is when you go into offense, when you take the driver's wheel and you're actually accelerating. And then rest up is the fourth stage, which is the process of unhooking. So that's what I was describing is you got to take time off for yourself. You got to take time to integrate and you got to take time to reassess, where you're going next because this journey never ends. You know, the minute that I ever thought that I'm master at something, the whole new set of skills or opportunities, you know, shows up. So I always say I'm not master at anything, but the transformation itself, where we can take each step and bring it to our hands.
How do you feel about that? I don't know if you think about that as a reality, that it's never over.
You know, if I start thinking too deep into like universal law and like why we here and the start, our minds are not simply able to comprehend that. So I just quit doing that and I surrender into just, can I have the best moment, you know, every moment? Can I have, you know, positive mindset and great emotions? And if I don't, you know, what can I do to fix that? Because what type of choices have I made that made these consequences to what I feel or, you know, I'm hearing today? And what's really exciting for me is that as long as I continue seeing every situation as an opportunity, then, you know, there's no need for any mastery because you will be constantly living the greatest expression of who and what you think you are.
In this four-step process, do you find that there is a stage or a step that is most commonly difficult for people?
Mm-hmm. It's the resting up. It's the unhooking because we are living in a world of doing, and every single um, part of our life is now designed to keep our attention and continue, you know, buzzing quick reward system, you know, through dopamine and whatever it's notifications on email, phone, social media. It really matters not. It's like we're addicted to short reward system. And because of this, we have to find way back inside and unhook and slow everything down because in the process of doing, living externally, you know, outside of our bodies, we first have to just call all the energy back. Like, so we are breathing, we are in a relaxed state because most people are over breathers. You know, we're constantly chronically in fight or flight. And it could be sequenced with simple things like giving your consciousness to a device. And so what I teach is how can we come back to something called instant presence. And by the way, anybody can do it right now. All you have to do is just follow a breath, extend it about 5.5 seconds on inhale, 5.5 seconds on exhale, in and out of your nose, all throughout the day. As much as you can, come back to this extension, because more and further extended your breathing, then higher heart-brain coherence you're experiencing, and lower the stress release that you have. And so that's the power of breath. The other part is I always ask myself, where am I? Because most of the time we're in the past, in the future, we're on our phones, you know, we're thinking about what we need to do for our children. And so every time I get outside of myself, I bring the awareness back into my body and I just practice the simple imagination that you have this champagne like bubbles bubbling up around your whole body, not just your mind. So that way you extend the awareness into almost as if you were breathing through all of your pores of your skin at the same time. So it helps you relax into it. And the third tool is, can you be aware of the stillness and silence beneath the noise? So let's say that you're in a music festival. You know, you can still be aware of your breath. You can still be aware of your body's awareness. So you're inside of your body and you can still hear the little stillness and silence beneath the sound, beneath the noise. And if you do this, it completely changes the level of awareness of every situation. Now you're present listening to someone. Now you're present talking to someone. And so I use this practice as often as I can remember because it's a remembrance of not living outside of ourselves, but actually being deeply inside in our beingness instead of doingness.
I think that those are really solid practices. So, do you advocate that I try and just schedule these in, which kind of sounds exactly the way that somebody like me would say that, as somebody who is a human doing over a human being? I'm working towards being more of a human being, but maybe that sounds really dumb, but you probably understand what I'm asking.
No, honestly, I do the same. So before I adapt new neural pathway. I mean, ultimately, right? We're like computers, and that was kind of my point with the early on, is that we literally can program ourselves to whatever we wish, right? We have a consciousness inside. We're spiritual beings living a physical experience, and that's what we have to realize, is that we are so much more than just this flesh of body. But at the same time, if we understand how to operate this body, this temple, and the mind and the emotion, then you can use it in your advantage, and you can use it in your power. So maybe you start with morning, midday, evening, right? You just set it in. And even just a short 3-second drops. Like, let's say that you just remind yourself before every call or before every meeting that you do this little pause. You're one step closer to who you are and living that state of choices and consequences, right? Like, you're in your power when you bring this power back to your awareness. And the minute we forget, it's okay, right? It's life. This is why this is a beautiful practice round. But it is not okay when we just keep on doing, and moving from the next place. Because what happens is there's a certain brain waves that we actually activate, and it's the high beta, the overly active thinking mind, that makes us think that we continue having to think all the time. And what happens is, if you close your eyes, even just for 5, 2 minutes, even just for a little bit, you're one step closer to the alpha, that creative mind. And so there's many different ways that we teach people how to trigger these different states, because it's all in your hands. It's all in your power. But do we know that we have the power? That's the question I think most of us ask.
We have access to all of these tools. They're probably we probably came with them built in, but unless we're aware of them and we know how to play them if they were instruments, or use them if they were tools, then they're just going to sit there. So
Absolutely. And that's really what happened for me, was like, I've learned all these tools, but then for me, I was the type of person that wants to embody them, right? So I would go into some sort of retreat, workshop, or training, and then I'd be like, okay, if this is your path to happiness and health, show me the way, right? Then I come in there with an open heart and mind. And if it works for me, I add it to the toolbox. If it doesn't work for me, simply move on. And that's the beauty about self growth, and also beauty about what you're doing, by the way, with the work. You're opening a channel of education, which creates inspiration, which makes motivation, and that brings new results to people. And so thank you on behalf of all the people as well.
well, you are welcome. I appreciate that. And it really, everything you've been talking about really resonates with me. And the simple thing of doing a morning, midday, and then in the evening, that's going to be a good starting point for me. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming out. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you? Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. So, we teach workshops, retreats, lectures, and immersive experiences all over the world, about 150 of them per year. So we spend half of the year literally on the road teaching. The second half we spend integrating, filming content. And so with today's recording, we'll make sure we include a free online library where you can find all of these different tools, practices, meditations, all at no cost. And then we also have a conscious e-commerce products that are all around basically consciousness expansion, helping you, dive in deeper frequency and beyond. And it's at the NOA AON, NOAAON.com, and NOA AON official for social media.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Pavel your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to NOAAON.com and check out the great resources and everything else that Pavel has been talking about. And then follow them on social media at NOA AON official. And I'll link all those in the notes. Thanks again, Pavel.
Thank you so much as well. It was an honor.
Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best. Of course, it's probably not true. Maybe being your best, Pavel, would be better.
That's the next stage we're going into, but it's totally perfect.
I love it. Thanks again.